The Imperium of Man. A galaxy drowns in darkness. Only the Adeptus Astartes warriors stand as bulwarks against the tide of Xenos and heresy. Even among death angels, some are harsher. Today, we delve into the secrets of the Red Scorpions, a chapter shrouded in mystery and driven by an obsession with purity. The Red Scorpions stand as a bastion of purity in a galaxy that is on the brink. But will their zealotry be their ultimate strength or their undoing? Welcome back, my friends. Today we're focusing on a lesser known but fascinating Space Marine chapter, the Red Scorpions. These enigmatic warriors are renowned for their devotion to the Emperor and their strict adherence to the Codex Astartes. In this video, we'll explore their history, tactics, and unique character, consisting of conservative imperial purists who unquestioningly believe in the Emperor's divinity. The Red Scorpions chapter of Space Marines is a fleet-based chapter with an unknown genetic history and founding. These Astartes are known for their commitment to imperial military and religious philosophy, even when logic or even pragmatism appear to demand otherwise. Among all the Adeptus Astartes, the chapter is most known for its dedication to every word of the Codex Astartes. No other chapter, not even the Ultramarines, can claim the same distinction. Despite the fact that its history spans only 5 Terran millennia, there are several indications that it could extend even further. Owing to their long history of battle with Chaos's armies, the Red Scorpions will not interact with any Xenos species or humans they deem contaminated by mutation, including Abhumans approved by the Imperial government like Ogrins or Ratlings. They clearly won't serve with Beastmen, but they also flatly reject serving with any squats, Imperial or Votan League in origin. Enthusiastic about preserving both genetic and spiritual purity, the Red Scorpions' fundamental values depend on the sanctity of their gene seed. Consequently, they have more apothecaries than most chapters, and their master of the apothecarian is the second in command of the entire chapter. How often the apothecaries of the Red Scorpions appear as squad leaders rather than sergeants in the chapter's battle line squads is another unusual aspect of their presence. Over the course of nearly 5,000 standard years of documented history, the Red Scorpions have proven to be an uncompromising chapter that is always prepared to defend the Imperium, combat those who threaten it, and punish those who betray it. The Red Scorpions, unusual for a chapter of the Adeptus Astartes, are fanatically loyal to the Emperor, in whose divinity they believe without question. They consider it a divine imperative to pursue mental, spiritual, and physical purity. The Red Scorpions adhere to another rigorous doctrine, the Codex Astartes, which they regard as sacred text. Among the Space Marines, they are ardent traditionalists who zealously defend the Imperium's law and authority. They have also always been quick to respond to the calls of imperial cardinals and governors who are under attack from internal betrayal and heresy. In addition to their adherence to genetic purity and contempt for deviance from the standard human form, their unending hatred of aliens and mutants has gained notoriety throughout space. Despite the Red Scorpions' long and impeccable history of service, some within the Adeptus Terra harbor mistrust towards them due to a lack of full understanding regarding their founding as a chapter and the identity of the progenitor chapter from which their gene seed originated. Apart from its remarkable absence of genetic corruption or degradation, the gene seed lacks any distinguishing characteristics that could even tenuously link it to any of the original first founding Space Marine legions. Because of this secrecy, some members of the Imperium's hierarchy are beginning to doubt the devotion of a chapter that conceals its past. In spite of this, the chapter has hundreds of relief missions under its belt and is ready to help the Imperium of Man wherever it can. Whether the mystery surrounding the Red Scorpions chapter's beginnings resulted from a deliberate decision by the Adeptus Administratum or a simple clerical error leading to the loss of the records remains uncertain. Given that neither the chapter nor any existing imperial documents mention its founding, the former appears much more likely. Despite formal protests from the chapter's leadership, ongoing efforts to at least pinpoint the origin of the chapter's gene seed have met with universal failure. the wonderful history that the chapter has constructed by continuously defending the Imperium against innumerable challenges is ultimately far more significant than the tale of its founding. The genetic purity and consistency of the chapter's gene seed are, in fact, the foundation of some of its most noteworthy basic beliefs, and it will stop at nothing to maintain this purity and collect what is rightfully its from its fallen brethren in order to secure the future of the Red Scorpions. The Red Scorpions firmly believe that gene seed corruption would severely damage the Space Marines themselves and any other chapter they may be a part of, something they will not tolerate. Because of the Red Scorpions, the chapter has a strong isolationist streak when it comes to its interactions with other parts of the Imperium on anything other than a practical, military level. As a result, the chapter maintains no feudal domains and is only accountable to its own sense of duty. The Red Scorpions are a very xenophobic chapter, and they will never consider working with or allying with aliens until it is absolutely necessary. Nevertheless, they continue to be extremely intolerant of any genetic variation from the pure human form. They abhor any form of modified human, mutant, or abhuman, and have frequently refused to engage in combat with any of these abominations. Except for the few augmented individuals they believe the Emperor created, they don't like much variation in humans. The Red Scorpions fleet, which was founded as a fleet-based chapter dedicated to crusading, is still nearly always in motion. The Red Scorpions fleet moves between conflict zones and, if the chapter decides, offers its forces to anyone who claims they deserve them. Throughout their history, the Red Scorpions have engaged in numerous significant battles, fighting in every region of the Imperium. Their involvement in the conflict of Helicon, the siege of Helios, and the fight against the despised Bloodtide has rightfully earned them notoriety. They have fought both alone and among the ranks of the Imperium's other soldiers, and even though they were believed to have been lost on multiple occasions, they have always emerged from the abyss to brandish their swords in the Emperor's service once again. A prime example of this was the chapter's 39th century Imperial crusade into the dangerous Orden Rift Zone, located deep in the galactic wastes of the southwest regions of the Segmentum Tempestus. The specifics of the Red Scorpions' protracted journey into this dangerous region are still unknown, and the chapter was presumed lost for over 300 standard years after losing communication with the Imperium. The Emperor also saw their timely return as a gift, given their instrumental role in defeating a Night Lord attack on Oriflame in the Battle of the Grey Sisters. The Red Scorpions adhere to the principles of the Codex Astartes in both structure and ideology, making them a chapter that complies with the Codex in practically every aspect. However, the chapter's commanders and chaplains have their own unique interpretations and emphasis on the text. The chapter has extremely authoritarian internal systems, with strict discipline and order among the ranks. Those of higher rank expect their fellow warriors to submit to their authority without question, both on and off the battlefield. They refer to the chapter captains as honorary commanders and the chapter master as a Lord High Commander. According to the chapter tradition, the master of the apothecarian is invariably the Lord's High Commander's deputy. The Red Scorpions have a lot more apothecaries than most Space Marine chapters, as a side benefit to the highly revered status that genetic purity enjoys within their chapter cult. These apothecaries' sacred mission is to keep a close eye out for genetic or biochemical corruption in the chapter's brothers. Apothecaries frequently assign themselves to the front lines of combat and attach themselves to battle line squads, ensuring they have every opportunity to gather their deceased battle brothers' gene seed. The Adeptus Mechanicus greatly values purity in body, deed, and mind, and the chapter is renowned for the purity of its gene seed tithes to this organization. The Red Scorpions stand out for their fierce adherence to Puritan tradition, faith in the Codex Astartes, abhorrence of abhumans, other mutations, and everything that deviates from the pure human body. Their self-holiness isolates the chapter. They revere the Emperor more than any other primate. The Astra Militarum's eagerness to accept abhumans into its ranks has made them a highly xenophobic chapter that will not serve alongside abhumans. They also see the Imperial Guard as a subpar and unreliable military force. In the past, the chapter has demonstrated the ability to innovate unpredictably when necessary, as evidenced by the Angstrom incident during the Bardab War, despite primarily depending on the Codex Astartes for its tactical deployments and tactics. It is well known that the Red Scorpions prefer to engage and defeat an opponent in open combat rather than covert operations. They consider infiltration and disguise to be inherently dishonorable, and they avoid using them unless absolutely necessary. Consequently, they deploy a significant number of scout-equipped neophytes from the 10th Company to the front lines of war instead of on reconnaissance missions. Frequently, they hold fire bases in difficult-to-reach areas or serve as a reserve or auxiliary force to adapt to changing battle conditions. The Red Scorpions have lost comparatively little of their armor. They are still fairly well equipped with land raiders, dreadnoughts, artifacts, and a variety of other vehicles. The only thing that is comparatively scarce is Terminator armor, which has suffered significant losses over the past few standard centuries. This valuable resource is so scarce, in fact, that it may not even be sufficient to outfit half of the veteran First Company with such holy artifacts. We do not yet know what actions the chapter is taking to address this issue. Because of this scarcity, the chapter veterans frequently fill the position of sergeant in the other company's squads. The chapter's armory is renowned for its ability to deploy a vast array of armored vehicles and dreadnoughts in a variety of formations. Notably, they own an exceptional stock of drop pods and land raiders. Another well-known attribute of the Chapter Forge is its capacity to repair and produce a range of Space Marine power armor patterns in small batches. As a symbol of honor and distinction among the chapter's veterans, the Red Scorpions most frequently use the famed artifact Mark IV Maximus power armor. The chapter places a high value on the quality of armaments. Instead of just an honorific or medal to commemorate their achievements, veterans frequently receive a weapon of exceptional quality, usually a power sword, axe, or fist. By providing the finest members of the chapter with more potent weaponry and erecting a visible emblem that signifies a warrior's own strength and honor in front of his peers, this serves a practical as well as symbolic purpose. A group of powerful and old relic blades carried by the chapter's commanders, known as the Tears of the Scorpion, represents the pinnacle of this association of weapons of exceptional quality and military position within the chapter. Every weapon has its own esteemed legend and story. The Red Scorpions, like other Adeptus Astartes chapters, also keep a powerful Psyker library full of highly skilled individuals who have received extensive training to become the greatest warp masters. As with most of its initiates, each chapter chooses its librarians in a unique manner, drawing from the ranks of talented Psykers brought to the Scholastica Psychana of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, or from Seed Worlds. The Codex Astartes contains the old methods that most chapters use to train and test selected Psykers. The Red Scorpions train their librarians to strictly adhere to the Codex, with a few minor conventional deviations. The Red Scorpions was a fleet-based chapter for the first few standard millennia of its existence. Its two war barges, the Sword of Auden and Owl's Bane, have long been the center of attention for its fleet. They typically divided their Red Scorpion reserves between the two, ensuring that the loss of one would not completely destroy the chapter. During its extended crusade into the Auden Rift, the chapter seized control of the feral world of Zabus Minoris. It also constructed a battle station, Vigil, which remains in orbit around the planet and serves as the chapter's fortress monastery. Even though the Lord High Commanders understood the dangers involved, they refused to create a permanent presence on the planet because the chapter was constantly traveling about carrying out its imperial crusades. During their lengthy campaign into the Auden Rift, the chapter took possession of Zabus Minoris' feral world. It also built Vigil, a combat station that now serves as the chapter's fortress monastery, while it is in orbit around the planet. Since then, the Red Scorpions have maintained the utmost secrecy regarding their holdings. None of the few outsiders who are aware of it, mostly senior Adeptus Administratum officials, know the warp channels that lead to Earth. It is dangerous to go through the Auden Rift. A voyage through Immaterium to reach the Earth carries significant risk if one does not know the exact routes. The Red Scorpions chapter sought out the most spiritually and physically pure people from across the galaxy. Since taking over the Earth in the 39th millennium, most of its new initiates have been indigenous feral tribes. The Red Scorpions evaluate only the most pure and heroic potential candidates they come across for initiation. Human civilization, pre-industrial, and at roughly the Bronze Age level of technical advancement inhabits the small, desert world of Ziebus Minoris. According to Missionaria Galaxia accounts, each tribe has a central temple complex where they offer every newborn male child to the gods for blessing. The high priest receives the newborn and places it on the temple's stone altar during the first full moon of its life. As they gaze down from the moon, the tribesmen believe that the gods are judging their offspring. Those deemed inadequate die during the night, typically from exposure. The newborn returns to its father in the morning to start a regular life among the tribe, and the high priest allows the majority to survive. The gods take a select few, those deemed by the high priest to be the best. This is the highest honor bestowed upon a tribe, demonstrating their divine grace. Every tribe dreams of having their offspring snatched and raised like one of them among the gods. The Red Scorpions apothecaries naturally choose the missing infants through a rigorous genetic screening process, and then they bring them to the orbiting battle station Vigil, the Red Scorpions' fortress monastery, to begin the process of becoming Space Marines. These infant recruits don't bring any cultural baggage with them. As they mature, each recruit will only ever know life within the chapter. They will have no recollection of their parents, upbringing, or cultural background. Because they induct recruits at a young age, the Red Scorpions, unlike other chapters that recruit from primitive human communities, show no signs of planetary cultural impact. The emphasis on both physical and spiritual purity is the cornerstone of the Red Scorpions' belief system. Everything else is incidental. The chapter's battle brothers embrace undeniably drastic tactics as an essential component of their training program to preserve their purity in mind, body, and soul. Together they feel that only by going to such extreme lengths can they possibly hope to find and remove any trace of impurity or imperfection from individuals they come into contact with outside the chapter. These Space Marines consider their task to be a divine obligation. Since they don't know their Primarch, their primary loyalty is to the God Emperor. Whereas most of their brethren in other chapters maintained a purely secular view of the Emperor and the Imperial past, it may have been because of this lack of connection to another spiritual authority that, unusually for Adeptus Astartes members, this chapter's battle brothers put their faith and trust in the truly divine nature of the God Emperor and pledged their loyalty to the Imperial cult. The chapter's affiliations and views are mainly traditional. Our chaplains strictly follow the Codex Astartes and interpret it uniquely. To them, they do not in any way depart from its words. They have a moral obligation to follow the sacred command of fervent religious adherence. Any departure from its precepts needs to be well reasoned, since doing otherwise continues to be blatantly against the God Emperor's order. The Red Scorpions never stop pushing themselves to maintain their purity. They anticipate that other Imperium servants will behave similarly. By almost any other measure, the Red Scorpions are the most devoted Imperial believers. Additionally, because of their physical improvements, they are able to endure penance deeds that would kill a regular human. Very few people are physically able to live up to the exacting standards that Space Marines have set for themselves. There aren't many Astartes who voluntarily choose an Imperial cult lifestyle, because the majority of them don't adhere to its principles. Because of this combination, the chapter's battle brothers now regard other Imperial armies with extremely little esteem. Even in briefings and planning sessions, an officer of the Red Scorpions would doubt the judgment of individuals outside his chapter, since their lack of belief and Imperial purity could easily lead to heresy and betrayal. With a few exceptions, the chapter is primarily reluctant to collaborate with outside parties due to this paramount concern. Some see this trend as veering into isolationist heresy. Others, on the other hand, joyfully encourage the Red Scorpions to operate independently, even if having to compromise or collaborate with them can be somewhat taxing due to their exacting standards. The way the Red Scorpions respond to any hint of impurity is another telling example of their concern with cleanliness. One of the most important values these combat brothers hold dear is their detestation of the impure and the unholy. Be cautious of any potential taint. Remove the known contaminated material with the appropriate amount of force. Contact necessitates cleaning xenos due to their inherent dirtiness. Testing all human descendants for mutations is necessary. We should seize the earliest opportunity to eliminate those who are considered unfit. Similarly, we must thoroughly cleanse a tainted mind, marred by heresy or unbelief, ideally through force. The Red Scorpions will not tolerate anyone who violates these rules. They do not allow even approved imperial mutants, such as ostensibly recognized abhumans like Ogrins or navigators, to come near them. If the Red Scorpions had not needed a navigator in their voidship crews, they would probably be fighting them head-on. This also affects interactions between the chapter and other Space Marines. The Red Scorpions particularly despise the Space Wolves and Blood Angels, as their curse deviates from the Codex Astartes. They have repeatedly refused to work directly with Imperial forces out of fear of compromising their own orthodox purity. When it comes to their interpretation of the Codex Astartes, the Red Scorpions are fervent believers. For these Space Marines, the passage is a heavenly command that guides them through every stage of life. When preparing for battle, one must properly interpret the sacred scripture and never question its wisdom. Several commanders in the chapter employ specific subsections to pinpoint pivotal moments in each fight. In order to ensure that the army's forces constantly adapt their strategic responses as the tactical situation changes, these individuals meticulously identify the most pertinent passages of the text as they get ready for and command a battle. They do this by quickly and decisively applying the most appropriate responses to any numerical or strategic shifts in a given combat situation. Of course, it's crucial to keep in mind that the Codex Astartes is widely acknowledged as the most comprehensive and sophisticated manual on warfare that humanity has ever produced. Although its observations and recommendations might not cover every scenario that could arise, its framework provides a way to systematically and suitably choose the best course of action. Because they have opted to adhere to the Codex as strictly as possible, the Red Scorpions rely on an unmatched tactical manual. Finally, the appearance of fanaticism and orthodoxy does not significantly diminish their fighting effectiveness. The chapter's organizational structure, which follows the standard Codex instruction, of the 10 businesses, only one exhibits a deviation. Only the chapter's 2nd through 4th companies continue to function as battle companies. Similar to the 6th and 7th companies, the chapter's 5th company also serves as a reserve. The 10th company, Scout Company, typically maintains a slight understrength due to its inability to actively recruit during the crusade. Consistent with the Codex's doctrine, the Red Scorpions are proficient at using combined arms to resolve most tactical issues. For example, they use vehicles to support infantry forces. Vehicles also sparingly deploy assault marines and other specialized troops in situations that best suit their unique set of skills. When necessary, the chapter may send its fleet resources to weaken a target well in advance of a ground-based attack. The chapter has consistently employed these strategies throughout its existence. The extreme discipline upheld by the Red Scorpions is partly responsible for their success. They employ their religious concentration in all facets of their lives, which instills this discipline to some degree. Red Scorpion battle brothers are accustomed to unquestioning loyalty. They sincerely think that the God Emperor is the one who directs and dedicates their lives. They place their faith in his direction, confident that, even after death, they would be able to access the hereafter and partake in his everlasting benefits. This degree of discipline allows the chapter's leaders to carry out tactics that could be extremely dangerous when using troops who are not as fully committed to following a strategy through to completion. Despite their infatuation with official imperial cult doctrine, the Red Scorpions are more than capable of coming up with creative fixes for unforeseen issues. The most well-known example is undoubtedly the development of the Helios pattern Land Raider, although there are many more. This specific triumph is so well known because the Adeptus Mechanicus went on to approve the vehicle as an official template. Since its creation, several other chapters have begun to use the variant. Before engaging in any battle with an unknown adversary, a warrior must ascertain the advantages and disadvantages of the opponent. Understanding their weaknesses and avoiding their strengths is crucial. The Red Scorpions are skilled at applying a wide range of strategies against unfamiliar opponents in a startlingly short amount of time. When a strategy demonstrates exceptional success, it is employed for the duration of its effectiveness. Nonetheless, these Space Marines don't think twice about trying to find a different approach if the generally accepted techniques fail to deliver the required outcome. Even in this manner, maintaining purity requires careful attention. Their Tech Marines may make small advances, but they never deviate from the Omnissiah's course. They still disapprove of any Xenos equipment or designs that have survived the technological age. Such technologies have the potential to contaminate a battle brother's soul, thereby placing it in danger. We consider other strategies only after gathering proof that the Codex's prescribed course of action is incorrect. This may occasionally call for in-depth conversations and assessments. The Angstrom incident during the Badab War serves as evidence that the Red Scorpions are capable of using such methods when necessary, but they are known to detest covert operations and would much rather engage and beat an adversary in open combat. They consider this covert form of warfare and all of its attendant practices, such as infiltration and camouflage, to be essentially dishonorable, and they avoid them unless absolutely necessary. As a result, the Red Scorpions are generally opposed to using covert tactics both before and during a conflict. They would rather proudly show off their insignia and presence. They sincerely feel that their war gear and iconography serve as an essential representation of their loyalty to the God Emperor. It is a true insult to their faith if anything keeps their enemies from seeing these emblems. Even when they employ Codex standard camouflage designs, they encounter resistance. Although Scout Marines receive initial training according to the Codex norm, initiates rarely embark on extended reconnaissance missions. Instead, they usually place novices on the front lines of war or keep them out of the fighting so they can act as a backup force. The Red Scorpions take tremendous pride in the purity of their gene seed. It is undeniably free of chaos, pollution, and mutation, but its purity is so great that it barely distinguishes itself from other things. For this exact reason, Space Marines from several other chapters hold mistrust towards the Red Scorpions. Their gene seed is so generalized that it is impossible to link to any of the Loyalist Prime Ministers. Regardless of its source, the gene seed of the Red Scorpions has proven to be remarkably stable throughout the chapter's existence. Their almost obsessive efforts to ensure stability and purity throughout the Imperium and among the chapter's ranks certainly play a part. Even with these precautions, the chapter's original gene seed had to be flawless for none to have appeared in the intervening Terran millennia since the Red Scorpions' founding. The Red Scorpions have upheld stringent isolationist etiquette in order to preserve this purity and prevent outside impurities from weakening the chapter. The chapter's apothecaries routinely check each member for taint indications. This screening is rigorous to the point of near fanatical commitment. Every fallen Battle Brothers progenoid lands are also constantly recovered by Red Scorpion apothecaries, ensuring that the gene seed is stored far more frequently than is generally expected among Adeptus Astartes. The Red Scorpion's exceptional sense of pride stems from their pure genes and impressive track record of victories in conflicts fought in the Emperor's honor. They also attribute their pride to the devotion and teachings of the Codex Astartes. More pessimistic minds, meanwhile, would question whether the mystery surrounding the Red Scorpion's background and origins also has something to do with their obsessive drive to demonstrate their commitment and that their chapter's actions are above criticism from their peers. The sanctity of its gene seed and the innocence of its battle brothers are things that the Red Scorpion's chapter takes immense pleasure in. Few other Adeptus Astartes members, in the eyes of the chapter masters, can lay claim to such a lineage and a genetic link to the god Emperor. Each Battle Brother's daily observances and training instill the Red Scorpion's vital importance in maintaining their purity and eradicating any traces of taint. The Red Scorpions have a particular hatred for mutants and aliens, even if all Space Marines detest them. Generally, the Imperium draws a distinction far higher than almost any other chapter between those it considers human and those it does not, stating that unless a man or woman can claim direct descent from the Emperor himself, like the Red Scorpions, they are flawed beings despite their best intentions. This excessive genetic purity fanaticism is most noticeable around ruthless, power-contaminated or suspected tainted people. The Red Scorpions only need suspicion to change their posture with their supporters. Once these allies face suspicion, they must exert significant effort to dispel it by showcasing their unwavering loyalty to the Emperor. The Primarch's Curse, Divine Purity. When compared to other God Emperor and Imperium warrior servants, the Red Scorpions hold themselves to the highest standards and regard their commitment and purity as unmatched. Whatever the cause, the ultimate result is a deep mistrust of allies that many Red Scorpions cultivate. Over time, this mistrust can intensify, making many members of the chapter believe they can never truly trust any of the Emperor's children or followers due to their lack of shared loyalty and purity. Usually, there are 3 stages to this genetic curse. First stage, just the pure. The Battle Brother can no longer trust that any of the God Emperor's servants are flawless, and he has begun to doubt their chastity. This is particularly true for allies who are clearly contaminated, even if they have received some sort of sanction, like Psychers, Abhumans, and Navigators. The Battle Brother finds it very difficult to interact with anyone who has psychic gifts, excluding librarians from his own chapter, or mutations, regardless of how advantageous or benign. Nearly always, the Battle Brother reciprocates this chilly reaction, causing extreme discomfort for those around him. They know that the massive warrior disdains them, which only heightens their hostility. Stage 2. The True Sons of the Emperor. Despite the long-held belief that the Adeptus Astartes are superior to all other God Emperor soldiers, many of the chapters see themselves as equals, and Battle Brothers, regardless of their place of birth, typically show some level of respect. Red Scorpions may eventually grow to feel that this is untrue, and that no other chapter can possibly match their fidelity, viewing other Space Marines as inferior versions of themselves and ultimately undeserving of a place in the Emperor's forces. Phase 3. Only Us. A Red Scorpion Battle Brother may eventually come to feel that he can trust no one but his chapter. Despite their appearances of loyalty and protestations to the contrary, the people surrounding him are liars just waiting to reveal their true intentions. The Battle Brother would exercise caution, avoiding giving them undue control over him or revealing his identity unless absolutely necessary. He would refrain from taking action against these individuals without a valid reason, as such hasty actions could potentially embarrass his chapter and undermine the Codex Astartes, a concept he holds in high regard. Members of other chapters will not get along with a Red Scorpion Battle Brother who has advanced to this stage. So there you have it, a glimpse into the enigmatic world of the Red Scorpions. These warriors are a testament to the sheer diversity found among the Space Marines. If you enjoyed this lore breakdown, let me know in the comments below which chapter you'd like to see featured next. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more explorations into the grim darkness of the far future.